here to talk to you about some of the things that I've done on Blackboard, and also talk to you about a little bit about the fundamentals of communication. And so let me do a screen share real quick. All right. Okay, here we go. So this is our class. Just going to the home page. So those of you, I saw that you had some difficulties expanding the class on your iPad. Some of you were doing it from your phone. So you just have to play around with it, but just, it's just easier to do it on a laptop because larger screen, and you can, if you're not able to get to see all the commands, you just need to see how you can, click a collapsible link, which kind of shows you all the functions that we have here. So a few things for you is the online textbook. I did talk to you about it in class, but I have also put it on your Blackboard so that it's quickly, you can, you don't have to go every time through the syllabus. You can just go to the link here. And once you click the link here, online textbook, and you again click the link here, it just straight away takes you to the book. So that's done. All right. So the next thing is you instructor PowerPoint. Okay. So this is what I have for you. So this is for week 1. So we'll talk about what's there. It's a PowerPoint slide. It's my lecture on things that you need to know about speeches. So we'll get to that later, but it's here, instructor PowerPoints. That's another one that you need to look at. Okay. Instructor PowerPoint, online textbook, Go React. I did tell you. So if you have to go to Go React, you can just go to your Blackboard and then click the link. And once you click the link here, it just takes you to Go React. Okay. And the instructor, I think my information I've changed. I've put in my information here, and syllabus is also now. I did talk to you about the syllabus, all the speeches that we're going to do, what this class would look like. All of that we covered in class on Tuesday, but this one has the course schedule. So I'm going to just show it to you. I just opened the document from here, and here we are. So this is how your class syllabus looks like. Again, so it's the time, the room number, everything has been updated. Other than I haven't changed any of this material, grades, content, nothing has been changed. The only addition is, which I did not get a chance to discuss because I didn't have time to put the schedule in. So here is the schedule. You can see March 22nd is the first evening when we met, and we did the course, a little bit about what the course entails, student introductions, public speaking anxiety. We looked at Vipassana meditation and saw some of the strategies that we could use to combat our fear of public speaking. And then the next week, which is coming up, is a spring break. So enjoy, all of you. I don't know whether I got a chance to tell all of you that enjoy the break. And then we'll, right after you come back from break, we'll just get into the class full steam, right? Like full power on. So then what do we do after we come to class when we meet on April 5th? Is, as you can see, you've got to do a bulk of reading. Okay, so you can see chapters 2, 3, 4, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's a lot of chapters. Okay, you've got to read it as soon as possible so that we don't have too many days. And the sooner you get the reading done, you kind of get an idea of what we'll be talking in class. It'll just be very relatable. So you got to read this as soon as possible, and then you see that the biggest load is there. And then it gets easier. It's like one chapter, okay? Because I'm asking you to, and then when I get to the next few sessions, I will be referring back to those big number of chapters that you can see there. So the first speech is, we'll be talking about the profile speech. So that's, as I mentioned to you, we will be completely engaged in what a profile speech is, how do you write an introduction, how do you write the body of the speech, how do you write the conclusion, all of that, okay? So we're going to do all of that in class, and next class, and we'll try to get in a little bit of writing as well. And in our next class, we actually have our first profile speech. Okay, so that's the day you come in and you deliver your profile speech. Hopefully, we will be able to do most of it in class the week before, which is April 5th. So on April 12th, you come to class, do your speech, and I start right after the speeches are over. I will get into my lecture on informative speech. Okay, so I will be talking all about that. I will be using class time to explain what an informative speech is, speech strategies, all of that. Okay, and then next week I still continue with the discussion of informative speech, but this time I I'll work with your outline. Okay, I will give you an homework. As you can see, turn assignment, there's a homework that will be discussed when the time comes, but I'll have your outlines ready, and I will have more concepts that I'll talk about. And then I also have a workshop format where I actually look at each of your speech individually and provide feedback to you. All right, so that's another thing that I will be doing. And then straight away after that, we have our, on the April 26th, we come to class, we deliver our profile of our informative speech in real time during class hours. And then right after your speech is over, I start talking about persuasive speeches, which is our third speech. So I kind of introduce what it's going to be all about, what are the things we are going to cover, how to write it, all of that. I use the next week, which is May actually, 1 second, that's 1 minute. It is May 3rd. Yeah, I use May 3rd to continue the discussion on persuasive speech. I look at your outlines, work with your outlines, give your feedback. All of that happens two class sessions just on persuasive speech. And on May 10th, we come and do our persuasive speech, and then actually be done with the class. So it'll be a lot of work, and it'll go very quickly. Okay, so yeah, that's it. During the finals, I really don't have a finals. I'll give you all a few questions which will help you kind of self-reflect on the class and see what you did well and what could you have done better. So that'll be your finals. So that's I kept it pretty simple and easy for you to follow. This is on your syllabus on Blackboard. You should be able to get it. All right. So the next thing I would like to talk to you about is a few fundamental concepts of public speaking. So we did talk about, public speaking, the fright of public speaking, stage anxiety, and all of that in class. And if you think about public speaking and the whole concept of public speaking, some of you may have heard the word rhetoric. Okay, so it's RHETORIC, and everything that you hear about public speaking, everything that you hear about Toastmasters and all the all the advertisements that you see on your internet or on Facebook regarding crash courses on public speaking, all of that is actually about rhetoric, and all of that actually comes from this book, and I wanted to show all of you this book. So this is the book. Aristotle wrote this book years back, and this is like it's like one of the main idea from which public speaking has derived. So without giving this book a bow, and without, I don't think we will be able to go further talking about public speaking. So as I mentioned, as a public speaker, you need to be a great speech writer and a great public speaker. So these are the two components that we're going to work on. And as I heard in class, some of you mentioned about your goals, and most of you said that that's the fear of public speaking really bothers me, or it's something that I'm really very anxious about. So we talked about some of the strategies, and we'll talk about some more strategies that we could use in order to offset that. Fear doesn't really go away, but we can figure out ways to manage that and use it to our advantage, if you will. But then some of you mentioned that you really want to work on the writing skill of writing skills and the theatrical presentation, all of that. So in order to do your public speaking well, both written speech and delivery skills, there are some concepts that is very helpful, and it is like pretty. It's a core concept. You really cannot. It's like the ABC of language. Okay, so if you think about the ABC of public speaking, that's what I'm going to be talking about today. We will be talking about rhetoric. Okay, so again, as I showed you, this is the book. This is written by Aristotle, and what does he talk about? So and I'm going to show you the slide, and I'm going to show it to you a little later. I'm just going to have a chat with you, and then I'll show you the slides. So this happened, as I mentioned to you. Some of it has also been mentioned in chapter 1 in Fundamentals of Communication. This happened years back in Greece, and Aristotle, he coined the word rhetoric. And he said that in order to be a good public speaker, there are 3 components, that you need to have 3 things. And if you have those 3 things, anybody could be a good public speaker. So again, just to go back, even before the time of Aristotle, this happened somewhere, during really, really long back, during the time of Plato, when the idea and the cave and all of that happened. And then people started getting into question answer rhetoric and dialectic. It's where somebody would ask a question, the answer would then another person would respond, and there was this whole circle of question and answer and understanding, communication. All of that happened. And then we also saw there was this phase where there were a group of people who were called the sophists, and they said that anybody could be a good speaker, and we are good speakers, and you just give me money and I will be able to sell any idea. So they were good speakers. They had the gift of language, and they were loud, and they were persuasive, and all of that. But one thing that they did not have is ethics, a strong sense of ethics. So they just said that you give me money and I will be able to persuade anyone of anything. So kind of not very different from sometimes the way that persuasive speaking happens in our society, especially when we think about rhetoric, and like we sometimes negatively associate it with politicians using rhetoric to sell their ideas, sell a campaign, get some votes. People who are selling anything in the market using rhetoric to sell their products without really thinking about the good of the people. So that's how it became at that point. And Aristotle intervened, and he said that, hey, that's not the way we should be thinking about rhetoric, and there has to be a very strong ethical component. A good speaker can have the best of words, can have the best of logic, but if he doesn't have the best of intention and a good heart, good heart for himself, and a good heart or a good objective or a good vision for his audience, then he's not a good speaker. So he actually, if you think about Aristotle, he actually got back the concept of ethics, or he really integrated the concept of ethics within speech. So that's how, that's why Aristotle's work on rhetoric is very, very, that's, as I mentioned to you, it's something that everybody has to study in order to understand what speech is. So Aristotle, as I mentioned, when he used the word rhetoric, he, as I don't know how you guys are seeing it, when he used this word rhetoric, he said that in order to persuade an audience, you need to have 3 components. And the way he framed rhetoric is, he said that it's an art of persuasion. Rhetoric is the art of persuading an audience. And if you have ethos, logos, pathos, you will be able to persuade the audience. So, and I added two more. If you look at your slides, I added two more components to it because I just felt that, oh my God, that's really relevant. But he doesn't. If you do all the Google searches in the world, you'll see that if you see rhetoric, the three components are ethos, logos, pathos. But I do add two more to it because it's in the book, and I felt that those are also very significant concepts. So I added kairos and telos too. So let's go to the slide and see, I'll actually show you the slide, but before that, I will actually try to, let's see how we're doing on time. I don't want to make it too big. I'll show you a small little clip of a speech. And then what we'll do is we will see how ethos, logos, pathos is situated within the speech. Okay, so I will show you a really small clip of George W. Bush's 9/11 speech. So this speech was given by George W. Bush right after 9/11 happened, actually within a few hours. So he didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare the speech, and he just had to address the nation right after, actually on the same day. And it's about a 4-minute 53 seconds speech. And I'll show you that speech, and then I'll show you how you can uh, understand ethos, logos, pathos, kairos, and telos through that speech. So let's hear that speech. I will put it here for you. 1 second. Trying to cue it. Okay. All right, got it, class. Just want to share the screen now. So this is the speech, and I'll talk to you about it. Okay, so here we go.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens are way of life. Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices. Secretaries, businessmen, and women.
I'm sorry, I just played from the beginning. It's just
okay. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices. Secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. Our first priority is to get help to those who have been injured and to take every precaution to protect our citizens at home and around the world from further attacks. The functions of our government continue without interruption. Federal agencies in Washington, which had to be evacuated today, are reopening for essential personnel tonight and will be open for business tomorrow. Our financial institutions remain strong, and the American economy will be open for business as well. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them. I appreciate so very much the members of Congress who have joined me in strongly condemning these attacks. And on behalf of the American people, I thank the many world leaders who have called to offer their condolences and assistance. America and our friends and allies join with all those who want peace and security in the world. And we stand together to win the war against terrorism. Tonight, I ask for your prayers for all those who grieve, for the children whose worlds have been shattered, for all whose sense of safety and security has been threatened. And I pray they will be comforted by a power greater than any of us, spoken through the ages in Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day. Yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
All right, so you just heard his speech. So those of you, and if you need a little bit of background about the speech, as I mentioned, it was happened right on 9/11, and he didn't have too much of time to respond. And so if I actually do a rhetorical analysis of the speech, and I could do it different ways, but let's say if I use Aristotle's ethos, logos, pathos, I will actually do the sharing the screen right now. I think that will be relevant. So here we go, the history of rhetoric. I think I did talk to you about it. And we are actually getting into the elements. So this is what I was talking about it. And right now you just heard the speech. So if you think about the logos, which comes very close to the word logic, it's the rationale, it's the logical reasoning that George Bush used. And Aristotle, if you think about the way he framed logos, is he would talk about logos as the word. What kind of words are you using to make sense? And then people have expanded it further and said that logos is logical reasoning. And Aristotle has mentioned that human beings are wonderful storytellers. We love to tell stories, and not only do we love to tell stories, we also love to listen to stories. So the kind of storytelling that has happened, if you look at the speech, is he's actually used a very typical a typical good versus evil theme. It's good being America and everything to do with Americanness and freedom, and kind of created these beautiful terms when he talks about America, freedom, hearts of steel, courage, they fear no evil. And then when you think about the evil, the good versus evil, the evil, of course, being the terrorists and the attack and the cowardness of the whole attack. That's how he frames it. It's pretty much a good versus evil story, and that's one of the things. That if you think about storytelling strategies, that's a very strong storytelling strategies, because we always root for the good, and we don't want to, and we want to see the evil, being kind kind of punished, or the evil needs to go and the evil needs to vanish. That's how the way we think. So that this is the whole theme of good versus evil. That's the kind of storytelling, that's the logic that he's used. Thinking about logos is basically storytelling, or any logical flow of ideas that kind of makes the best sense. And this is, we're really going to discuss this much more in depth in our next few sessions, but this is a good starting point for our discussion. The next one is ethos. When the word that comes very close to ethos is ethics. And when you think about ethics, you think about, as I mentioned to you, the good, right? The good, the morals and the good for the community, for yourself. And that's what Aristotle meant when he talked about ethos. And there's several layers to it. He also said that the speaker needs to have a strong ethos. A strong ethos is a person who has a lot of credibility, whose presence will make the audience believe the speaker. So that's credibility as well. So if you have very good ethics, if you have strong morals, then your credibility is pretty high up there. And if you have high credibility, then you are able to persuade an audience because the audience believes in you. So he said, that's what he says, that ethos, you got to create that trust, that credibility. And how do you do that? By being a good person, by not only being a good person, you also need to have the good of the community, and then people are going to trust you. The third component here is pathos, which is passion. And you must have seen the use of words that he had in his speech. I don't see that this was a presidential speech. I don't see a whole lot of expression. He had a pretty flat expression, which is very presidential, I guess. But the words that he used, the children whose families are shattered, the families who are grieving, all of those words, and the fact that then the biblical verse that he uses, that you're going through the valley of death and you're scared, but I fear no evil because I know the Lord is with me. All of those things kind of add to the pathos, to the emotional content of the speech. So that's pathos. So in order to have a speech, you need to have a pathos component where you are able to evoke emotions in the mind of the audience through the use of words, not only through the use of words, but also through your vocal modulation, stress, intonation. That's where delivery also comes in. So it's a play of both your voice, vocal modulation, and the words that you're using to create drama in your speech. So that's pathos. The telos and charis, as I mentioned to you, I added those two, and I didn't create it. It's Aristotle created. I'm not claiming that I've created it. So he has this in his book, and telos is a sense of purpose. And I feel that's extremely important. When you write a speech, you need to have a sense of purpose. And that's going to be like, that's going to pull you. That's going to pull the speech. So what's the purpose of the speech? What does he want to do in the speech? As you can understand quite clearly that the whole nation was going through a chaos at that point. No one knew what was happening at that point. I don't think the terrorists had even claimed responsibility. So he was the person who would hold the country, and the whole world was looking up to say, what's going on? And he had to kind of address the situation and say that, this is what has happened, and this is going to end here. And that was his telos, that things are now in control. Things have happened, the bad is over, and nothing's going to ever happen anymore. So that's what his telos was. So that's the pull. That's how the whole purpose of the speech, and the speaker has to think about that. And then the kairos is the timing of the speech, which is, the whole thing happened, and it was a perfect opportunity for him to talk about such an issue when this whole thing happens. It's like the kairotic moment, the hottest moment. He chose the right moment to talk about this because, at that point, he himself did not know what was happening so well, because at that point, things started. If you look it up, things started falling. People got to get more information about these terrorist groups and why they're doing this and all of that. How they're organized. All of that started coming much later. But at that point, this was the hottest moment for him to kind of create a speech and address the nation right then and there, because that's what people needed at that moment. So Kairos is the best time, the sense of timing of the speech. So if you have a great logic, storytelling skills, able to use logical reasons, and so that people understand what you're saying, the understanding process. If you have ethos, if you have good character, and you have you have a sense of ethics, you're good. If you have sense of passion, you're able to show that passion through your words and through your vocal modulation and through your delivery skills. Telos a sense of purpose for the speaker, and a sense of timing. When is the time? What topic should you choose at what time? What's the best time to address this topic? That sense needs to be there. So these are the 5 elements of rhetoric. I'm going to close the speech right now. My session here. So all of you, I will see you. And I gave you all a homework as well on Go React. So turn that in by midnight. And not, I think I gave you all a, not midnight this week, but I think, when did I say? I think you got to turn it in by April 3rd, right? So April 3rd midnight, go to Go React, go and do the homework, and I will see all of you on April 4th in the evening at 6 p.m. at our Glen Ellyn Center, 3rd floor. All right, thank you very much. Have a wonderful break, and I'll see you in a week. All right.